I'm Councillor Mary representing North Ward.
And I'm Councillor Henry Davis from the South Ward, and we're both elected council members of the City of Adelaide.
Adelaide City Talks is your window into the City of Adelaide and all the things that make our city great, and that keeps it that way.
Now, we don't always agree on everything,
And our views are our own.
but we don't hold back or skirt around the big issues.
Because this is our city.
And it's your city.
And there's a lot to talk about.
So join us for Adelaide City Talks. Welcome to another episode of Adelaide City Talks. It's actually just Mary and I really who are just doing most of the talking, but tonight this morning we'll be talking about the council meeting from last night of the 23rd of April 2024, and it was budget night, and it's something that I didn't want to pass. I'm not sure you wanted to pass, but they rammed it through anyway. So what did you think of last night's meeting, Mary?
I've been really disappointed, Henry, because I've never seen a budget that actually talks about cuts without talking to the ratepayers about what those cuts are.
Oh, well, you don't want to tell them what the cuts are because they might not be happy with that.
Well, wouldn't you want to be transparent in a consultation?
That does make sense, actually, now that you mentioned transparency and accountability and,
Doesn't it?
Going to the community about community consultation. That does make a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm...
Not very good politically when you're coming up to a potential by-election, though.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just this is the way that they want to run the city. Well, maybe we do need a by-election, to be really honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it is really sad as a ratepayer and as a business owner and as a person that has... been following the City of Adelaide for a very long time as a ratepayer. I have never seen it done this way before. So first time for everything, I guess.
Yeah. Well, can I say it was nasty last night? It was really nasty. And it didn't come from you, me, Simon, or Armand. But, man, like Councillor Martin, I felt, and Snape and Janet Giles and David Elliott, they were just nasty. And it was, Councillor Martin was laughing at you when you were trying to speak. And I moved an alternative motion. And the vitriol that came at me about like all this political nonsense when I said, hey, I just want to have a look at the long-term financial plan and sit down and the way that I, structured my speech. And he was just attacking you personally. I felt pretty embarrassed that the Lord Mayor didn't do anything to pull that up at all. And she just went and let Councillor Martin in particular just run off on, criticising the previous administration, like all the staff members who'd worked together on previous budgets, all the advice that they'd prepared, all the councillors that had worked hard to do their best for their community. And I thought it was pretty disappointing, particularly when, the reason why I thought that happened was because they really didn't want to focus on the budget in front of them. They wanted to focus on, the things that they thought were problematic in the last council.
Especially when, first of all, I love Jane. I love Jane. I think Jane is...
Jane Lomax-Smith?
Yeah, she's great. I think she's great as a Lord Mayor. I think she's great as a person, and I think she tries her best. But when you've got children...
I think I'm her favourite.
When you've got children in front of you, it's, it's really difficult when people are not acting appropriately. So let's be fair on that.
Yeah, but
I know we're always agreeing to disagree.
But she can. That's not an agreement. Yeah, but she came into this council as the Lord Mayor saying, I want to return decorum to the council chamber. And it was just like a circus, I felt.
I just
like they didn't talk about, the only point that the council made, like this faction who runs the council now made, was about how they brought the asset renewals up to 92%. That's really good thing. But they didn't talk about any of the other issues that, I'd raised during the workshops about the long-term financial plan and sustainability and being open and honest about where these cuts were going to come from.
But Henry, you don't have the numbers. So, administration are not going to focus on your requests if you don't have the numbers.
Oh,
That's
I know.
where everything goes. Let's really think about it. I asked them in the business plan and budget for them to actually be clear and honest in regards to what makes up our city. But we're going out for consultation, talking about that the economy, the economy for the City of Adelaide brings 18%. No, the economy.
22
Where is it? Sorry, I'm going to get to it. That's right.
Yeah.
So total area of 15.6 square metres, sure. 12,000 local business, sure. Contributes 18% to the SA economy.
How crazy is that?
Great.
$22 billion. $22 billion is what Adelaide City Council contributes.
But what it doesn't talk about is what our City of Adelaide is made up of. What is the percentage of our rates for our businesses and what is it for residents? At the moment, it's 75% for our businesses, 25%
Yep.
residential, something like that. So that's not clearly defined for people to understand where our focus should be in this budget. Now, this is not a long-term financial plan. Obviously, this is a
we
budget.
don't do that anytime soon.
We're not doing that. But this is about what our city is made up of. It doesn't clearly define where the bulk of our rates come from. The bulk of our rates come from 80% approximately from the 5,000 postcode and 12% from the 5,006 postcode. So we're not really talking about our city in a in-depth view. We're talking about a city in a very pretty light, So, and that is what is concerning me, is that we talk about the positives, which is great, but we also should point out what we're doing within our budget in regards to our capital works, and we should also be talking about detail, what is our city made up of today.
Yeah, and something it is made up of, universities.
There you
don't
go.
pay
That's your
rates,
segue.
right? They don't pay rates.
And
okay?
that's exactly what's not pointed out in this budget as well.
So my understanding is it's actually $38 million that the government departments and universities don't pay rates to the tune of. Right.
That's
So there's all these exempt ratepayers in the city of Adelaide, and they don't pay around $38 million a year in rates revenue.
No.
Now, what that does is actually saddles businesses, local businesses like mine, like my law firm, in terms of paying rates for government departments and supplementing their care.
Yeah.
So one of the ideas that I think we should absolutely look at, and something I requested last night,
so we're really clear, you did try and pass through an amendment.
alternative budget. Yeah. So I tried to move an amendment.
And what was that?
So there was a number of different points.
Yes.
And one of them.
Can we go through point by point?
Yeah, we can, totally.
Otherwise, we're going to go all over.
Okay, you want to start at point one?
Point one.
Okay. Well, I was on a bit of a rant there. Okay, we'll go back to point one and I'll rant later.
Please, because otherwise we're going to lose the story.
All right,
because I think what you tried to do last night was really good. You tried to bring forward something that we can do more of a deeper dive in certain aspects.
Yeah.
You brought forward a more of a broader look for administration to look at cuts, not in just one section. Yeah. So I think it's really good to talk about from the beginning.
Okay, let's do it from number one. So first of all, the item number one was that we actually go out to consultation. I don't want to go out to consultation because I don't think that the budget is in a position where we should be going out to consultation. And for a number of reasons and some things I wanted some more information about, but particularly around the amount of debt in 2032 that our long-term financial plan locks in. Right now, we're headed to $208 million in debt, which is $8,000 per ratepayer.
And now, how do you work that out?
That is 208 million divided by 26,000 gives you 8,000.
Yeah.
Right.
And but surely, Henry, I'm going to challenge you on that one. Surely in 10 years' time, we'll be looking at 50,000.
Not the way we're going.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Not the way we're going. If you don't so there was the other thing, concrete pours. That
don't confuse. Don't confuse.
Sorry. But that's not the way we're going, right? I don't see that population getting there at all. I don't see we're advancing towards it just because of the settings of Adelaide City Council. Now, if you also have another 50,000 residents actually in place, these services that we're going to have to be providing are also going to have to ramp up as well. So
that's right.
I've never. I'm not that optimistic in the council being able to stick to $208 million in debt alone. Yeah. I think that that's going to rack up very quickly, particularly with this council.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So this is my biggest issue, is that this council keeps going on about how responsible they are. I don't think maxing out your credit card and making your ratepayers pay for it is responsible by any stretch.
But I'm just playing devil's advocate here. So isn't that within the prudential limit? Like we are by intent?
For sure. Right. But is that what you want to do? Yeah. Just because it's in a prudential, the prudential limit is the maxed out credit card.
That's right.
Right. You go over the prudential limit and people start getting involved and calling you insolvent, right?
Yeah.
That's when state government comes in, appoints an administrator type situation. When it gets to debt levels that are so, that's a point of no return basically.
Yeah.
So my issue is that the way that our debt is structured and the assumptions that are currently in our long-term financial plan at the 10-year mark show us continuing to go into debt. There's no recovery. There's no turnaround. It's just plowing us straight into debt. So I want to have a realistic conversation about what our main street upgrades are going to cost, what our asset renewal coming up to 92% is going to cost ratepayers, and the $38 million that the government departments and universities aren't paying needs to be part of that conversation, because no other council has the number of government departments and universities and those exempt ratepayers as the City of Adelaide.
But it is requested in there to have that conversation. So we're doing that already, Henry. So, there is every year we have those
every year. Yeah, so this is, okay, well, this is what I want to do, right? So first of all, I wanted to come back to the budget at a later time when we had some bit more information.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I wanted to do, and one of the things we can do to recover some of that $38 million, is actually just not provide services to anywhere where there's an exempt ratepayer. So, and we have like a legislative minimum that we need to do. But when you look at Adelaide University or, UniSA or, Premier and Cabinet, those areas are serviced by the City of Adelaide. Ratepayers pay for those government departments to be there. My point is, let's figure out what the bare minimum is to maintain those premises, including Adelaide Uni, and in terms of leaf blowing, footpath repair,
rubbish collection,
bins, street furniture. You know what? Let's just leave them to their own devices, because why are businesses and why are ratepayers paying to supplement the public realm around universities? Now, a lot of developers, a lot of buildings, they get a lot of pressure put on them to upgrade the public realm when they're doing these developments. And I don't think it's fair that massive industries, like that 22 billion, that's probably a good chunk of that would be coming from the universities, and the City of Adelaide gets peanuts on that.
So you were asking for a report?
Asking for a report.
On what that looks like.
On what that would look like if we do the bare minimum. And really, are we going to do that? No. But what it would point out is to say, hey, this is all the extra work that we do for you, and have a real conversation with the universities and with the government about how much impost it actually costs us.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's a report.
Because in terms of rate revenue, it's around 120 million. So it's like a quarter. It's a quarter of our rates revenue that is paid for by everyone else in the city.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had no problem with a report, because you don't know what the outcome will be or what the investigation would lead to. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't pay for it, you don't get it.
No.
That's my point.
What's your other amendment?
The next thing is that implements a 2% efficiency dividend across all council operations. And I want the administration and the new CEO to go through and find an efficiency dividend. I mean, is it the case that the City of Adelaide Council is the most efficient council and there could be no increased efficiency in our operations? Maybe. Maybe we are the most efficient council that ever existed.
And again, you were asking for a report.
And I was asking for a report on whether...
So we could. So you were voted against...
Oh, actually, no, I wanted them to implement it. So I actually wanted that to be included in the budget assumptions of 2% efficiency dividend. And that means that when we're talking about the 92% asset renewal, could we do that 2% more efficiently? Can we strive for that? And actually, most Commonwealth departments also have an efficiency dividend built into their budgets every single year. Same thing when I was in the military as well. And that was going to replace... Now, in point 6 of you have to play along at home. I mean, you're not looking at the agenda, are you? But they were looking at trying to fund these parklands buildings by
1.5%.
Yeah, by 1.5% by, what was it? They were going to put in cuts to the grants and partnerships programs.
No, so what they basically, originally it was 6.9%. That's what admin has requested.
Yeah.
Or has recommended, sorry. Then Phil did a motion where he reduced it to 5.9%. So within that 5.9%, you got to take away, you got to add the savings or finding within that percentage 1.5%. On top of that, you got to find a saving of 1.4 million. So it's a double whammy. So when I spoke to administration on Monday, they clearly said to me that somehow they've got to find.
They've got 1.8 million through operating savings.
Yes.
So we don't know what they are.
No, they don't know. So they don't know what they are, the 1.8, and they don't know how they're going to find the 1.4. But the difference between this one, right, is that the
That's
savings,
across everything.
the savings is more broadly, to find that more broadly within the organisation. The one that Phil did to reduce it to 5.9%, he's specific. He wants them to find 1.4 million from the a reassessment of external grants, sponsorships, and strategic partner programs. So that means our heritage schemes. That means our our events like Fringe, like Adelaide Festival, like WOMAD. The list, I've got it all here. Bear with me.
See, this is what I don't understand about the Greens and Labor mentality to these types of programs, because they see like big business or local coffee shops as the bad guy. Anyone who runs a business, you're a bad guy. And so
we'll get to that. Yeah, I know.
Helping these people to promote the city and get more people into the city, and helping businesses, which account for 80% of council rates. That's actually a reinvestment into keeping vacancy rates.
But the problem
low.
is also, Henry, is that this economy here in the city of Adelaide relies on people coming into the city.
Exactly.
So if you're cutting fundamentally the very things that create people to come into the city, what are you achieving? I think I want a suburban council.
Yeah. Well, and my point is we earn our rates from rents. The higher the rent is, the more council rates we earn. Yeah. So we as a council should be looking at this like any kind of business. Yeah. If we can increase the amount of businesses in the city by reducing commercial vacancy, reducing retail vacancy, rents will go up and council rates will go up. And it's about looking at how we can partner that to maximize that investment and maximize our return from our council rates by having higher occupancy rates in the city. Yeah. And we do that by investing in these events.
Well, and it's a very small component.
Yeah,
it's not like
massive.
we give them millions each of them. Yeah. I think we only fund 300,000 to the Fringe. I mean,
it's huge. Fringe is massive.
Oh, the Fringe is huge. I thought that was a huge amount.
No.
That's not
it's
that
hardly
much.
anything.
So
it'd be like 30 cents?
Yeah.
A ticket? They sold 1 million tickets?
So anyway, go on. What else do we have here?
You think that they're probably going to spend a lot more than 30 cents a ticket?
Well, I just think they're not looking in the right way. But anyway, you go.
The other thing we would I wanted to look at was, we went to you remember that workshop we went to, and they had all the new capital spending projects, and it was meant to be we'll have a discussion about what we were going to cut. Yeah. And the only real thing that came up was the ball washer for the golf course. That was the only thing that we actually talked about cutting. And the Lord Mayor's sitting there saying, I know it's not nice to cut things from, new spending, but maybe we should cut something. And she's like, oh, what do we really need this ball washer, which was at $18,000?
Well, we're looking at
so we cut nothing out of this budget.
We're looking at, in the capital works, we're looking at $340,000 for new public art. Yeah. Right? We're looking at master planning for Victoria Park, that's $250,000. Yeah. We're looking at a new Southwest Community Hall at $1.5 million. Yeah. $2 million worth of trees, $20,000 a pop. Yeah. So there is quite a lot in here that we can, if we're looking at wanting to get our ratio back up and delivering for our streets, then we've got to look at spending, and this has not been cut back at all. No. Besides the balls. No, that went ahead. We're still washing the balls, yeah. Are we still washing the balls? Yeah, we've still got clean balls. Oh, okay. I thought they removed that. Nah. Okay, there you go. But that was literally the only thing that was really contentious, that wouldn't go through. So this is a big spending. They want to spend all the money, right? And you know what? That's okay. I'm okay. We're spending lots and lots of money. But, are you? But you've got to be honest with your ratepayers at the end of the day, and it's got to be up to them about. And so what I wanted to do is have all of those projects, those new capital spend, ranked against the council's strategic plan, and evaluate what the bang for buck was on each of those different projects. That's right. That's fair. So no, that's not fair. That's cuts, according to Councillor Snape. That's outrageous, fascist policy by Councillor Davis, that we should probably look at our new capital spend and value the the value for money basis. And the vitriol that I got back as a result of me asking for a report
to try and assess our capital projects, I thought was extreme, and hilarious, and a bit sad.
It was a bit of theatre last
Oh,
night.
it was. And to do what though? You know, the reality is that we're driving this council into a huge amount of debt. And what I'm asking for is that we have a real look at it. And this idea, this rhetoric around how responsible this council is. I mean, the last council had zero debt. That's what they were projecting by 2032.
Well, being
And
the
their
person,
long-term financial
being
plan.
the person that was on the council, I mean, we did have COVID, people. So it was really difficult to work within a budget to deliver what the community was asking us to deliver, because there weren't any precedents or anything that we could refer back to how to get through. I mean, even the government was the state government, federal governments, everyone was scrambling on how to help and support our communities, whether business, residents.
Well, see, that would have been the time to
everybody.
go and seek funding and partnership from the state government to all these major street upgrades and actually get funding committed there.
It's
It's a bit late now.
But I just wanted to talk about something in particular, because I think it's really important that here it is. Okay. So I am tired of Councillor Martin wanted to amend the document for it to say that previous term of council are
Was
to
to
blame
blame.
for the reason why we haven't met our targets in the past in regards to our renewal
Showed
funding
a complete
ratios.
lack of responsibility.
So there's a difference between actually projecting, wanting to deliver. So we're asking them to deliver 92.5, which admin are quite confident that we can, right? And there's a difference to what you were able to deliver, right? So your projections and delivery are two different things.
Yep.
So in 2017-18, they delivered 91%.
On the asset renewal.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
No.
So everything they said last night was complete crap.
It was a lie. It was misleading.
What? So it went down to 40% in 2019-20 because of COVID, and then 72% in 2021, and then 46%, and you're back up to that's rubbish.
So in 2022 and 2023, no COVID, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're
We
back up to
delivered
73%.
73%, which is the same. It's less than what we delivered
what
in
rubbish.
18 and 19.
My God, what rubbish!
Yeah.
And they're patting them. I was swept up in it.
I know you were.
Yeah,
I could
and they're
see
saying-
everyone was, and I'm trying. And did you see? I wasn't allowed to talk about this.
Oh no, we wouldn't let you talk.
No
about that.
one allowed me to speak to this. And this, so we're looking at in 23-24, we targeted a 90%. Great. We're out of COVID. The construction industry is back. We're
What a load of rubbish.
and now we're asking them 92.5 proposed, right? So as you can see, the history states that there was
91% in
no other
2017.
reason except COVID to why the delivery was at that low rate.
Ah, what a lie. They're very good, aren't they?
Oh, he's very good.
Mm,
You
he
know,
is.
Councillor Martin is good at that, but it's a lie.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
so that's on.
Were they claiming it was like down to
delivery.
60% or something?
Yeah, well, it was. It was a.
Well, 2019 through 2022, when you couldn't go outside, 72% and 46 on the asset renewal budget, like that's reasonable.
I know.
Mike.
Okay, so there's the shock value. Do you want me to keep going? Keep going. So,
Just make me depressed, to be honest, Mary.
sorry.
It just make me depressed.
So yeah, it's a complete lie. It's just so external grant and sponsorships what we're looking at, people, and I think it's really, really important.
Hold on. Can I just take a photo of that? And this needs to go to In Daily before they write an article. I'm gonna send it to them right now.
So there is also just external grant and sponsorship programs. We're looking at heritage incentive schemes, noise management program, economic policy sponsorships, the history festival. We're looking at our precinct groups. We're looking at the community impact grants. What are you going to cut? What are you going to cut, Henry? Are you with me? What are
sorry,
you going
I'm
to...
texting reporters?
That's really got you, hasn't it?
Oh, that's just rubbish. I wish I had have clocked to that last night.
I was trying, but I was in silence.
You know how I'm trying to move the amendment? Okay, can we talk about this temporary thing about this audit committee, right?
Yeah.
So the audit committee prepared, Phil Martin was on the audit committee, and so was the Lord Mayor, and they came up with this idea that it was a temporary levy, okay? They're saying it's a temporary levy to raise, I think it's $4.5 million, and they had the word temporary in there, right? And they're going out to the community saying that this is an asset renewal repair fund. And even the audit committee said that it was temporary and use that language. And then I said, is it temporary or is it permanent? Okay, because they're going to increase council rates and the amount that we charge by $4.5 million. And then I said to them, well, does this bind the council? We're going to pull this out. We're going to reduce the budget by this amount because it's only temporary. Like it only lasts for 1 year. And they said, oh no, you can't bind future councils. And so I said, okay, we commit that we're going to reduce the rates by an equivalent amount of $4.5 million next year. Nah. Wouldn't vote for that because it's not temporary and it's a complete lie. Like that will continue in all the budgets. You watch next year, are they going to pull out $4.5 million of the budget because of this temporary repair levy? Like that, it's so misleading. I find that the whole way that this is being spun. Now, I wanted to move an amendment to the audit committee. And the Lord Mayor wouldn't have a bar. She didn't even want to hear the amendment. I said, I want to add a point 2. And she says, no, you can't change that recommendation. And I say, I don't want to change the recommendation. I want to add a point 2. Oh, no, you can't do that. It's ultra virus. It's ultra virus. How dare you change the motion? And I'm like, I'm allowed to add in here what the word temporary
I was actually
means.
very confused at that
She
because
refused to
governance
let me
was saying to her, I don't know whether they were telling her, no, you can't do that. But I'm sure that was done last term of council. People were amending the recommendations.
No, but we're just noting what the audit committee came up with.
Yeah.
I can absolutely add a point 2 to say that this will and confirm that we will be pulling this out of the next budget.
That was very confusing.
Well, no, it was just rubbish, honestly, by the Lord Mayor. And I said to her, you don't even know what my amendment is. How can you say that it's outside of the power of council for me to move an amendment that you don't even know?
Because they're not a decision. They give recommendations to council.
I know.
They don't make the final decision.
Yeah, but the Lord Mayor apparently doesn't even want to listen to the amendment before she chucks it out. And I was saying, I was sat there for about 5 minutes, me arguing it to say, I would like to move an amendment. She's like, no, you can't. I'm like, you don't even know what it is. Can I at least tell you what the motion is? She went, no, it's ultra virus. It's outside the power. You don't even know what it is. It could be that the council declares that we like sunshine and rainbows. Yeah, that could be the amendment. And my amendment was that the council notes that this is a temporary repair and it will be pulled out, or that it's not actually temporary, because the audit committee got it wrong. They got it flat out wrong. It's not mandated that it's temporary. It's not actually a council policy that it's temporary. And I think it's highly misguided. I think it's misleading. And I think it's deceptive by the current faction.
That's a bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
That.
I couldn't even, she didn't even want to hear what the motion was before apparently it was illegal. It was illegal. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. The dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, I'm sure that we have amended recommendations from Caterpillar.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The other thing I wanted to do was to explore the feasibility of establishing a council body that would look at maximising income from our current existing assets. Shock horror, that's fascism apparently. That we're looking at, our current.
I actually thought that was a good one.
They're all good ones, and they don't sink anyone.
No,
like it's really like these things are.
I mean, that's our job to actually be able to get administration to push them a little bit to to speak on behalf of our ratepayers and what they would like to
100%.
see.
So we bought this land, right?
Yeah.
And so
Flinders Street.
Yeah, in Flinders Street. And what are we doing with it?
It's coming into council.
Is it? So, yeah, but we should have a subsidiary with some external people, or a subsidiary or another body with some external advice on it. Yeah. People who have actually built things before.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're potentially looking at a tower there, residential tower, to come in and assist us on a separate body, right? Yeah. And talk about this type of stuff. We don't need the administration who don't build skyscrapers. They're not developers, right? This is well outside of the expertise of council. So that's what I wanted to have, another body to come through, look at our current assets, see how we can actually make some more money. No, shock horror, that's fascism. It's outrageous. How dare councillor? This is the most disrespectful thing that you could possibly do, Councillor Davis,
Who's that?
Janet Giles.
Okay.
I should do a better voice. Like how irresponsible and like the vitriol that was coming about. I was like, can we establish a body? Can you look at getting a report for me to establish a body, or the council to establish a body, so we can maximize the assets currently coming out of council? And that was like this big, outrageous, how dare you, Councillor Davis type of action. And the same thing, and the same vitriol came at me over, I was asking for the administration, because I wanted to come back on the 7th of May, which is in 2 weeks' time, and have a look at our long-term financial plan and have a look at some assumptions where our net debt by 2032 would be zero. Right? I wanted to know what it would take in terms of council rates or council rate rises to get to zero. Now, you know what? It could actually be that our council rates need to increase more. Okay? It could actually be that we need to go at it another 10% this year. But the community needs to know what they're heading for, because just because it's going to be, it'll be 6.6 probably, because these operational fundings, who knows if that comes through. Let's just say we're going out with 6.6% rate revenue increase. Sure, but this is to deliver this project. But what would it be if we don't have net debt? Like if we have zero debt in 2032, we need to understand that. We need to tell the population it's not just about this year, because if it's not 10% this year, it'll be 20% next year and 30% the year after. And they're going to be heading for this cliff. And this, they're talking about responsibility, and they don't even know what the debt of the council will be over the next 3 or 4 years. And we haven't had a discussion about it, haven't talked about it at all. And that's all I was asking. So all the vitriol, what I wanted to do was say, can we make some cuts on providing services to infrastructure where ratepayers don't pay rates? Can we implement a 2% efficiency dividend across the council? Can you prepare a report which ranks our capital expenditure against our strategic plan and talk about it on a value for money basis? Can we look at the feasibility of exploring a subcommittee to maximize our income? And thirdly, can you tell us about a long-term financial plan? Outrageous! This fascist Henry, who's going to take over the world, a dictator, classic liberal policy of asking for some information. Outrageous. Screw that guy. So I got blasted for that last night.
But Henry, we've been working on this budget since November.
Yeah, and what have we done? Like nothing.
But Henry, why didn't you come to...
I talked about this. I've talked about this relentlessly about talking about setting up a subcommittee. I have talked about in the workshop about putting a budget. We talked, basically everyone had agreed really in the workshop that, we could move a motion to suspend this a couple more weeks to get the information on the long-term financial plan. And the administration said they would come back in 10 days with an amended long-term financial plan so we could have a better information about it. We've been talking about the $38 million that we pay to non-ratepayers for a year and a half. And all of a sudden, this is a complete surprise to everybody. And so anyway, look, the City of Adelaide residents, sucks to be you.
And businesses.
If you're a ratepayer, if you're a ratepayer in the City of Adelaide, look, sucks to be you. You're heading for a cliff. You're heading for $8,000 in debt. But so by reference, the state government debt per person, not per ratepayer, I'd be a lot higher if it was in per ratepayer, but it's $13,000 per person is how much state debt we owe. Now, if you live in the City of Adelaide, that's going to go up by another $8,000 by 2032. So you are looking at a ridiculous amount of debt per person, and you are going to pay for it.
Well, it's out to consultation.
You can sell it a bit higher.
And I'm hoping that we get more than 30 people consulting on the budget and really looking at it. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way.
Like, people only get...
I mean, I encourage people as much as possible to put in their views, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and we'll go from there. Hopefully there'll be a by-election soon.
Thanks, Henry.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.